Wow. So, years ago, I found myself in your shoes as a student, looking for my place in life, insecure, and wondering what the future might bring. And I asked myself four questions. Will I fit in? Will people see me? Will I find love? Will I find my true purpose in life? And I dived in head first. I went out, I traveled, I did stupid things. I didn't do drugs. I made friends, I studied. I made friends for life, as it turned out. And I graduated. And then curiosity really provoked my next step in life, and I entered the Secret Service. I entered an entirely different world, a deeper layer, as it were. And I started looking at the dark side of the world. And I learned a lot from the dark side. And I am here tonight to share those lessons with you. I started trying to discover the dynamics of evil and crime, looking for a why. My first corpse didn't have a head. I was wondering, why would somebody saw off somebody's head when he's already dead? Huh? And how come that some countries have nuclear weapons and then deny that right to other countries? So as I moved deeper into this world, it became a part of me. The fight against what is wrong and evil became a part of me. And security was and still is everything to me. So working in the security sector, I actually found out, interestingly enough, that the security sector is not about building security. It is about managing insecurity. It is about bringing the level of insecurity to an acceptable level. And that level varies per person as it does per country. So people in the security sector often look like they're strong and knowing and powerful. And I actually found, or I think, that us, the people working in the security sector might actually be the most insecure people, looking for comfort. Comfort in knowing there are things we can control or think we can. So, on the internet, there are no means of control. So in my later years, I started focusing on the internet, and I found a zoo out there. It is a world, it was and still is a world where the fittest survive. You can do and buy anything on the internet. You can get a hitman for $100 in South America, up to about 5,000 euros in Europe. And if you truly value your anonymity, it'll cost you 10,000 to get somebody killed. You can buy the most inhumane, or the images of the most inhumane abuse of children on the internet. You can even buy children with that purpose. Actually, those I think that is the deepest that humans can sink. And I'm incredibly grateful to all of those around the world involved in this fight and still involved in this fight on our behalf. Do know that online child abuse has gone up by 200% in the wake of the corona crisis. 200%. So online you can do and buy anything. You can buy botnets, you can buy ransomware, you can buy spyware, basically stuff that will get you into other people's computers so you can look at them and steal from them. You can buy anything on the internet. And it's actually in stores, quite modern stores, sort of like Amazon. Nothing wrong with Amazon, by the way, but very fancy stores where you can click on an item and you can drag it to your little shopping cart, you pay in bitcoins and off you go. You can deploy ransomware, do anything you like. I've actually had the pleasure of taking down a firm like this several years ago with my colleagues at the police at the time, So after the security service, I went to the police. And it just looks like Hudson Bay, Bayekorf online. It's beautiful. You can get anything. And what struck me was that the level of service is amazing. So if you run into trouble deploying your malware is malicious software. And anything like ransomware is basically a huge set of coding. It's like an app that you have on your phone. It's coding, and it just serves a nefarious purpose. It's an evil thing. So you can, if you ran into trouble deploying your malware, you could actually call the help desk, 24-hour help desk, and you can pick the language you would like to be addressed in. Now, I have yet to see this level of customer service from my bank. I don't know about you. Service orientation is at the heart of the criminal business model on the internet. They live off their reputation. They actually make commercials about their own criminal services, and most criminals that build decent ransomware will actually ask you to fill in their customer satisfaction form. No kidding. So you can buy all these things and do all these things on the internet, and there's really no serious means of control. Oops. What I wanted to share about that is there are a few very interesting things in these dynamics. Like I said, the service orientation is interesting. And another one is, if you look at the way the labor market is organized on the criminal side of the internet, it is actually in some ways an ideal labor market. What I was saying, so it's actually the online ideal labor market in the sense that criminals will find each other on the basis of each other's skills and experience and not an identity. It is purely skill focused, and it's very networked. So in short, there's all sorts of crime out there. One in particular I wanted to enlighten you on is WannaCry. You might have heard of it. WannaCry is a form of ransomware that was deployed on May 12, 2017. Anybody had ransomware in their machines, in their systems? No? No show of hands? Well, 1 in 9 companies in the Netherlands has suffered from it by now. And it is a widely... it's the most prominent form of cybercrime we see now. And WannaCry was a big example because it hit several, it hit many companies worldwide. And the interesting thing, just to show you how this works, it actually entered via an open port. So WannaCry actually it's a form of ransomware, and it will enter, it actually moves through the internet via open ports that are in the protocol. So it actually enters via a protocol called SMB. It's a protocol from 1983. So it's a very old system that's been used worldwide since the early 90s. Actually, interesting that we use IT built in the 90s, and it is now 2020. So basically, we're using IT that was built in an era when the internet was still, well, if it existed at all, it was still a very friendly and cuddly place, which it is no longer. So we're a bit more reluctant nowadays of leaving ports open. So WannaCry entered via this old system, entered many places, and what it does then actually when it comes into your system, it will encrypt everything it finds. So it encrypts all data, so you can no longer get to it. And the only way to get to it is to pay ransom to the hostage taker via bitcoins or using bitcoins, and then the criminal will actually restore the data, or will actually give you the decryption key so you can restore the data. That is the way ransomware works. And the bad thing about this is that it actually does work. So when you do pay your bitcoins in ransom, 9 out of 10 times, probably 99 out of 100 times, the criminal will actually give you that decryption key. And now, when I was still at the police, I always said, don't pay. Do not pay, because you are maintaining a criminal business model. Truth is, you will be able to restore your data. And that is because of what I just said. Trust and reputation is at the basis, at the heart of the criminal business model. Because if they don't restore if they don't give you the decryption key, people will no longer pay, and it's the end of ransomware, unfortunately. So, in short, cybercrime has really changed the nature of crime. So, victims, perpetrators no longer have to be in the same place, in the same location. They don't even need to know each other. Very often, a victim, if known, has no link at all to a perpetrator. And they are rarely, if ever, in the same place and time. Now, there is no country in the world that has really adequately adapted their criminal law procedures to these concepts in flux. They simply no longer work. So for investigators, it's really difficult to pinpoint a specific crime to a specific perpetrator in a place and time, because that's how the law simply works. So you can imagine what that does to the number or the percentage of solved crimes. It's not good. So it is no longer being the wrong person in the wrong place and time that determines whether or not you become a victim. And it is more the nature of the technology that you use and the care that you've devoted to your own security that determines whether or not you become a victim. So anyone can become a criminal from the comfort of his armchair without running a physical risk. And victims can be victims without even noticing they are. Not, of course, in the case where you're a victim to internet-based trafficking of people, drugs, online images, and so on, or killing or extortion. So the internet accelerates abuse and amplifies its impact. So in that sense, the internet is really a vector of evil, as anything can be. The Port of Rotterdam brings us goods to the whole of Europe, also brings in tons of drugs. We still love the port. We have our financial infrastructure that brings us wealth and stability, and we launder billions yearly. And the internet brings knowledge to people who had no access to it before, but it also brings pain and suffering to people who did not ask for it. So, I'm going to need the clicker again. Thank you. Yeah, so, like I said, it brings a lot of pain and suffering too, and all the hurt out there leaves a mark on the people who witness it, study it in an attempt to curtail it. And it left a mark on me. You can take a girl out of the fight, but it has been hard to take the fight out of the girl. You see, in all these years of fighting what is bad, I neglected to take care of my own security. So, several years, or actually several months after I left the police, which is now 4 years ago, I found myself bursting into tears, getting flashbacks, and I saw images of very violent crimes, war crimes when I was driving to work. I got flashbacks of beheadings by terrorists while shopping for groceries, and I saw images of child abuse while kissing my own kids goodnight. And I ended up at a psychiatrist. And he diagnosed me with post-traumatic stress syndrome, a career award. And I went into therapy and slowly started accepting and breathing and living and loving. And I was lucky to get the right care at the right moment. And to put my pain to good use, I am here today to share with you what I have learned. And there are 3 things I would like you to take away from this. In the way I've come to look at life, there is no why. There is no truth, no single truth. And all that matters are your actions. So, many people think it's all about finding your why. And in the things I've seen, the why really does not matter. It does not matter to a victim why somebody decides to harm him or her. It does not matter to a victim if the perpetrator has a very noble cause that he's fighting for, or if he's a plain nutcase. It does not matter to the cashier why you are being particularly rude today. It simply doesn't matter. So stop trying to find your why and start doing the right thing. The second is there is no single truth. And every criminal investigator will tell you this, but there is nothing less reliable than a human witness. The things you take for facts are a mere perception in any given time, and yours is only one of many. And everyone sees things his own way. Everyone lives in his own reality. And your brain controls your senses. So you only see and hear and feel what you already know and understand. There's a whole world out there in other people's brains that we know nothing of. And luckily all your decisions are half chance, and so are everybody else's. There simply is no single truth. So stop convincing other people of yours. And this might sound very cynical, but I don't experience it as such. It's when these insights dawned on me, I was relieved. I was relieved of the duty to have an impressive mission in life. I was relieved of the duty to be sure of everything and relieved of the duty to always be strong. We're not supposed to know or understand everything. It is okay to not know where you're heading. It is okay to not know what you are going to study or what you're going to do with it once you're done. As a matter of fact, this world is so volatile and insecure that not knowing is probably the most realistic state to be in. Embrace your uncertainty and your insecurities. Acknowledge those of other people. So, rather than attaching to false securities, be brave and show your vulnerability. Universities teach us knowledge, except of course for the University of Life. But they don't teach us how to be. We have to learn how to be from nature and from each other by reaching out and helping one another on their path in life. By seeking contact, not more knowledge. So, the third one is the only thing that matters are your actions. See, one of the most disturbing things I have found in looking at the dark side is that there is actually good and bad in everyone. Terribly violent criminals can be really fun friends. Child molesters can be good parents. You know, how is that possible? Well, it is. It is. There is good and bad in all of us. And you are in this event today probably because the good in you usually prevails. In Arabic, there's a wonderful word for this, and it's called jihad. Jihad is heard often in a different context, but it is also the inner struggle that every person wages every single day to do the right thing. Every single day of our lives, again and again. That is jihad. So there's lesson number 3. I don't care about your why. So stop wasting your young lives looking for one. What truly matters is what you do and say to yourselves and to one another, here and now, every single day, again and again. Your duty to yourself and to the world is to do good, to task yourself with doing good every single day without any reason. To smile at the person in the street, to be kind to the cashier, to be the parent, the child, the friend, the colleague, the customer that you would like to have, to do unto others as you would like others to do unto you. If you succeed in this, you will have made this world a better place. And I stand here before you today and I dare say I've had a damn good run for my money. Even though I've been through things you haven't, doesn't mean we're not equal. We are equal. The nature of my work, and I guess my nature, has made it hard for me to connect to people. And my marriage did not survive. And just this Monday, I got the keys to my new house. And tonight, I'll come home to an empty place. So with you, students, I'm back at square one. and of my 4 questions. The 4 questions I asked in the beginning, and when I was young as a student, only 2 remain. I no longer seek a purpose in life. And that's a relief. And I know now that I don't fit in, and that's okay. Will I be seen as I am? And will I find love? I don't know. And that's okay too. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart for hearing me out, for being with me this evening. For tonight I feel embraced by you. Thanks.